remember being around 12 or 13 when I opened my first independently run bank account. Now I remember my banker at that time being a very sweet man, and he said to me, Jumoke, whatever you do, avoid debt, avoid credit card bills, avoid overdrafts, avoid any sort of debt. Now that was really helpful and sound advice for that point in my life. And as I grew older, it actually helped in my 20s to keep my finances in check and to make sure I wasn't overexerting myself when it came to any liabilities or debts that I may have taken out. The older I became, the more I realized that there might be a little bit of a gap in that information, especially as I watched how my clients approached their finances and how they approached debt. And these are ultra high net worth individuals and families. And I thought to myself, their style of investing contradicts everything I've learned. I learned to get a job, work hard, save, don't take out debt, and essentially save for your retirement. And your retirement will in itself fund your lifestyle. There's nothing wrong with that advice. In fact, it's really solid advice, but it really depends on what sort of life you want to create for yourself. And that's where the difference between how the wealthy invest versus how everyone else does it. So in this video, I will share with you one specific investment strategy that I've noticed over time a lot of clients, a lot of wealthy clients deploy in order to increase the size of their portfolio, but also grow their wealth from a generational standpoint. If you're new here, hi, my name is Jumoke. I work as an investment banker and I'm also a chartered financial analyst. On this channel, we talk about everything from personal finance to investing, as well as wealth creation and self-development. So imagine this scenario. Your best friend and yourself walk into a bank and you say to your account manager, I would like to invest $1,000 over a period of a year. And they in turn say to you, well, on that money, you'll earn 3 to 4%. You're happy with that. You walk out saying, thank you very much. I shall see you in 1 year's time. Now, fast forward a year later, you walk into the bank with your best friend and you say to your account manager, I'd like to liquidate my investment, please. And if I recall correctly, you said to me that I would earn $30 to $40, i.e. 3 to 4%. And your manager says, yes, that's exactly what you've earned. You look at your friend and you're smiling thinking, well, that's not bad at all. I think I've done very well. Your best friend, on the other hand, looks at you and says, well, that's quite interesting. I actually earned 10%. I earned $100 on my investment. At this point, you're thinking, what on earth is going on? Why is my investment return lower than my friend's investment return? Now, the results of this narrative that I've just illustrated is what a lot of wealthy people tend to enjoy. And it's one specific strategy that a lot of wealthy people deploy to ensure that they grow their wealth over time. This is exactly the strategy that I wanted to talk to you about today. It's called leveraged portfolio investing. And this is where the saying comes from when people say that wealthy people use other people's monies to grow their wealth. So this strategy is actually quite similar to a mortgage. Leveraged portfolio investing is a scenario where an investor uses their equity as a base to increase their entire portfolio size. The difference between what you did and what your friend did was that after you'd both left the bank, your friend returns to the bank to say, you have with you my $1,000. However, I'd like to borrow an additional $1,000 or $700 and reinvest it into the same instrument. So what a leveraged portfolio does is that it increases the size of your investment using borrowed funds. Of course, borrowed funds come at a cost. So your friend in that instant would have paid a margin or a cost for that borrowing. However, the borrowing cost itself is most likely less than the return. Of course, otherwise it wouldn't make any sense. So let's say your friend has actually loaned the additional $700 or $1,000 at 2.5%. This is a crude example. And they have invested that into the 3 to 4% yielding asset. What that means is that on the $700 to $1,000, they're making an additional 1%. This is a very crude example, but I hope you get my drift. The point being that they've increased their overall portfolio returns based on leveraging or borrowing up to increase their pool. Unfortunately, not every type of investor is privy to the opportunity of a leveraged portfolio, and that's because of the inherent risks within this strategy. In this instance, the investment had worked really well and your friend made an additional amount in terms of their returns. returns. But the flip side of this, of course, is that the investment could have declined in value, which means that your friends actually made a loss. However, leveraged portfolios on the whole have made some clients extremely wealthy. During the pandemic, some of my clients actually deployed this strategy. They had some equity capital with ourselves as a bank, and they essentially levered or borrowed against the equity to increase the size of their portfolio. Now, the interesting thing was that they weren't just investing in any asset class, they were investing in high risk, high return, or high yielding assets. At the start of the pandemic, of course, asset prices had declined tremendously, and so they were buying high yielding assets at a depressed or a discounted price. Now, two things happened. They were getting higher yields because of the inverse relationship between the price of the assets and its returns, but over the next 2 years, they actually saw capital appreciation of close to 2 times their initial money. It was wild, it was interesting, and of course it would have been great if every single investor could at least have the opportunities to do that. The monies being loaned out are regulated and managed by the banks, and from a risk management perspective, the bank would have to take into consideration things like your wealth profile, your income level, and your ability to pay back. And this is why this strategy isn't widely available to retail investors. However, one other way to capitalize on such a strategy is through the property or the real estate sector. And this is why, for me, the real estate sector remains a very interesting one and a great proposition for wealth creation. When you buy a property, you are essentially investing a small amount of equity, and the bank in turn levers you up multiples to get to the point where you have enough capital to purchase your assets. And until an investor gets to the level where they can actually lever against other things like an actual portfolio or their cash at the bank, real estate investing or property investing remains a very interesting way to take advantage of this strategy. And this is one of the ways that wealthy people use other people's capital to get even wealthier. So I hope this video has been entertaining as well as interesting for you. If you're new here and you aren't subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also click the notification bell so you don't miss any of my new videos. I'll see you in the next one.